Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Random Health-ish. I am your host, Dr. GLORIA STONE-OZBEK, and tonight we have some very special guests with us. Tonight we have SWP Strategies, and they are going to be talking to us about how to take our nonprofit to the next level. So without further ado, please allow me to introduce you to the ladies who make up SWP Strategies.
Not SWV.
This is what project.
Right.
I can start. I'm Shauna S of SWP, Shauna Scott. I do all things strategic planning and policy work. And my other business partner, Christine, I'll have her introduce herself.
Okay, I'm Christine Wiggins. I'm the W in SWP, and I also have a focus on strategic planning, facilitation skills, community engagement. And then our partner, who I think she's trying to connect with us, having a little technical difficulty, but Kia Powell-Threets, and she's the P. And she's our evaluator, our master evaluator. And also, we all have strategic planning skills. So yes, that makes up our group.
Yes.
Well, I'm so excited to have you on tonight. Before we kind of dive into the nonprofit stuff, tell us a little bit about your backgrounds and how you kind of, became SWP. So, Shauna, we'll start with you.
All right. So as far as our backgrounds, I have a master's in public health, and I also have a JD, a law degree. And so my focus is on public health law and policy. I have worked in government my entire career, local government, state government, and the federal government. And I love working in teams or with teams to help them figure out their strategic path and really just get to the next level of their work, of, honing their skills from a public health policy perspective. I also teach at the University of Georgia. I teach health policy to undergrads and doctoral students as well.
All right. And my background is actually in health administration and health education. I have a master's in both. And I am a master's certified health education specialist. So health education is definitely my passion. I've worked, started off in a community-based organization, and then went to hospital administration. And from hospital administration, I went to federal government and then state government. So I've been in government now for about 11 years. And really, I love the engagement. I love the teaching. I love being able to provide the opportunities for other people to be able to take control of their own health. That is really my passion, giving people the information that they need to make informed decisions. So I'm currently working with the state of Georgia also, and chronic disease prevention, and have been doing that for a few years. I also have a background in addressing health disparities, as I've done some work at the federal and state levels as far as addressing health disparities and health equity.
Wow, that is that is a lot to take in. So how did you guys join forces?
So we met at the Georgia Department of Public Health, where we all worked as deputy directors, coincidentally. And so I was deputy director for a policy systems change. And our other partner, Kia, was deputy director of evaluation. And Christine had a bunch of deputy director positions.
Management programs.
Yeah. And, about a year, probably 2 years ago now, we started talking about pretty much like, how do we get our message out? When you work for the state or for the government, you're sort of restricted in a lot of the things that you can do and say. And there was a lot more that we really wanted to do to help impact our communities, impact young professionals who really, want to get to the next level in their careers. And I contacted them to see, do y'all want to start a business with me? Can we do this thing? And so, we started talking about it in 2019, and then I left the state in 2020, and we really then just jumped all the way in 2020.
I would say Kia left in 2019.
Yeah.
And then Shauna left. I'm still hanging
She's still
on.
holding on.
I have some unfinished business I need to do. But I agree with Shauna. We just decided our skill set, it meshes so well together, and we have a lot to offer. And the basis of our company does focus on strategic planning, workforce development, and evaluation. And with all that we have done, in those areas, we felt like we could do that in other spaces other than what the government provides for us to do. So,
right.
Absolutely. Well, that's awesome. What all services do you guys offer?
You can jump in, Christine.
Okay. So, strategic planning, like we said, so developing that strategic plan for organizations. We've all worked on cooperative agreements, federally funded programs, and one thing that we're required to have are strategic plans. So I think we've done quite a few of them in our lifetime with the government, as well as work plans. So in addition to developing those strategic plans, what are the work plans that go along with that? In addition to that, evaluating our services. That's a key thing. Oftentimes when you're doing project management, which I think is the big umbrella term for all of it, but when you're doing project management, you think about the planning piece and the implementation, but then it's that sustainability. But you need to evaluate your efforts before you can really decide how you sustain your programming. So we do offer those evaluation services as well. And then for us, the workforce development piece was really crucial and important. We've all had an opportunity to mentor undergrad students, grad students, be mentors for internships, different internship programs and things like that. So as we look at the next generation of public health professionals, and not just public health, because a lot of our skills are transferable, as we look at the next generation that's coming up, what are some of the things that we can pass along to them? What are some of those transferable skills that we also can share? So that's kind of the gist.
And I would say, as we think about the nonprofit space and how with nonprofits, a lot of nonprofits, they may have grants or receive funding from an external organization. And then the execution part is maybe not where is their strongest suit. And so we have those skills to be able to help them execute, because we've written grants, we've received grants, we, solicited for funders. And so to be able to help you execute your vision, help you execute your goal, and then develop that work plan. And then most importantly, do that evaluation piece is, what all three of us can do one piece of that to really combine as a force to help you as your nonprofit, your small business, your small organization get to the next level.
Yes, I think that was very smart of you guys to just kind of team up. So that way you can kind of delegate, like, hey, you focus on this section, you focus on that. Because once you kind of dive into the grant writing, it can be overwhelming if you're not, used to writing grants.
Right.
Definitely.
But yeah, even after you receive the grant, like people, they may be excited, they may get the help of a grant writer, et cetera, but then they don't know what to do when they get the money, or they don't know how to continue to move forward with the work. And that's, where we come in to really help them figure out like what the plan is and how to get the work done.
Yes, because, as I've told you, Shauna, I started my nonprofit back in 2016, but I was never really able to take it past a certain point because there was the issue of board members. There was the issue of finding funding. And then I was the CEO, I was the marketer, I was the grant writer. It was just, I was putting too much on myself. So I think that is the problem with a lot of nonprofits right now. A lot of people are starting nonprofits, but they are, kind of caught up in doing all of the work themselves, which kind of slows your potential for growth.
As well as like, a lot of people are starting nonprofit. You may have seen me posted that a couple weeks ago, and they don't know what they're doing. They're just going out there paying that IRS fee and starting a nonprofit, and then they're saying they have this nonprofit, but have no idea of what they need to do internally to get they need to have a board. They need to have operating agreement, and it's like, oh, you don't have that, then or they think they have a nonprofit just because they say they have a nonprofit, but they haven't done the formalities to create the nonprofit. Just because you say you have a nonprofit doesn't mean that you actually have a nonprofit in the eyes of the law.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Exactly.
That's so true.
And luckily with Shauna's background, I think that's the good part with all of our backgrounds. They're very similar, but we all have distinct things that we have specialized in. So Shauna with her law background has really, I think, helped us out. So when we have questions, we turn to Shauna. You know, we have questions about like really digging deep into evaluation related things. We turn to Kia, because I'll tell you, you know, I can do a quick Survey Monkey and get the results and tell you what they say, but to go any deeper than that,
Right.
I won't promise to be an evaluator at all. But I know my facilitation skills. I know my partnership and collaboration skills. And we all know each other's strengths. So it helps for us to be able to form a good partnership. And that's important when you come together with other people. Don't just choose your friends, because your friends might not necessarily be exactly who you're looking for. And that's not to say that we don't have a friendship, but you know, our professional
right. I was like, wait, we like each
we are
other.
friends, Shauna. We are friends. I hold you as a dear friend. I do. I don't want you to think we're not friends. We are friends. But we started off with a professional relationship first, and we were able to see how we work. You know, I've had situations where I've always said I never wanted to work for a friend directly, because if something goes wrong, you have to be able to have those tough conversations. And we've all been in situations where we've had to have those tough conversations like, look, this is what we need it now, you got to pull your weight and do what you need to do. So that's definitely important.
Yes. And Kia, her background was in biostatistics.
Yep. She's all things data, all things analysis. So all of that stuff with numbers, they know. I say this over and don't give me math. Don't give me numbers.
We don't.
Don't try to have me do a budget. I'll tell you how much money I need, and then somebody lay it out for me. I'm not the one that's gonna crunch any numbers. I'm not. And so
she gets excited about that. Like that's Kia.
And I get excited about the policies. I'm like, send me a law, send me some rules, send me some
and
policies.
I'm like, you got that. Let me talk to people. I'm like, let me talk to people. Tell me who
and
I
don't
need
want
to get
talk
out
to
in
people.
front. Exactly. I will get out in front and I will talk to whoever we need to talk to and bring them in. That's me.
When we decided to do this, I literally said, I don't want to be up front. I want to be like seen. I want to be in the back. I'll find the grants, I'll find the work, and y'all go talk to people, because I don't like. I don't want to do that.
We were clear.
So with the pandemic being here, have you guys seen an increase in funding opportunities? Because I have just been seeing grants and companies that are now focusing on like Black women-led organizations and stuff like that. So what has it been like for you guys looking for grants for other companies?
I don't have to look. Like you said, there are a ton of opportunities out there. When we were goal setting for this quarter, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go set the bar really low for second quarter and only get 10 RFPs, but I can get 10 in a week. Like there is so much money out there. There are so many opportunities. And the buzzword of 2021, right, is diversity, equity, and inclusion. DEI, everybody's doing diversity, equity, and inclusion, whether they are hiring a diversity director or a DEI director, or they are farming it out to, solicit a consultant to come in and help them with their strategic plan. We just worked on our today that was about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and getting a strategic plan in place. So there's a lot of that work out there. And I would say, for us, we are in that space, but then there are other people who I also consider, and I send them those opportunities, people who are really doing the work of equity, of, conscious racial conversations. I'm not saying that we are having those conversations, but we can definitely set you up with partners who will, be able to talk race and really come in and have those conversations, because there's a fine line between, strategic planning and having diversity and equity and inclusion. And then there's another line when it comes to really digging deep and saying that we want to do anti-racism work. And there's the whole gamut of RFPs about that and grants out there for those opportunities right now.
Yes. And so for people who are watching who do not know what an RFP is, can you kind of explain that a little bit for them?
Yes. Did you go to my grant writing class yet?
Hey,
it's all of our acronyms.
And when I tried to log in, I couldn't see.
I'll send it to you again. Yeah,
okay.
We won't talk about it here. But yeah, so RFP is a request for proposal. And it's pretty much like if you were to, I'm going to break it down real simple. If you were applying for a job and you saw the job posting, right? What you are reading is telling you everything about the job. That's what an RFP does from a company perspective, if they have dollars and if they want you to do some work for them. So they'll send out or they'll post a RFP, a request for proposal, just job information pretty much to say, hey, we want this work done and this is what we're looking for. This is the type of consultant or nonprofit or skill sets that we're looking for. And you can get RFPs from local government, state governments, foundations post RFPs, corporations post RFPs, nonprofits post. So anyone that is looking for someone to do some work for them, but they're not looking to hire you as a full-time staff person, will post an RFP. There are other terminologies as well, like NOFO, that's more so the federal government. They'll post a notice of funding opportunity, et cetera. But they're all the same thing. They're just telling you that, hey, we have money and we want you to do this work for us.
And I would definitely say with the pandemic, as Shauna mentioned, I mean, they're putting out money, especially the federal government, around a whole lot of different opportunities. Right now, the community engagement piece, reaching underserved or minority communities and things of that nature. There's plenty of money, and it's not just going to government agencies. There are opportunities for community serving organizations to take part in these different opportunities. You just have to know where to look. And so places like grants.gov, if you're looking for federal grants, that's a great place to look. And then your state, depending on what state you're in, you can go to the various state websites as well in order to look for a grant funding opportunity funding opportunities that are available.
Yes, but before you can apply to those grants.gov, you have to have your
SAMs and all of that. Yeah, so I was going to add to what Christine said. That's only step one. You can go look all you want, but in order for you to submit, especially a federal opportunity, you need your DUNS number. You need to go through the process at sam.gov. And get registered with the federal government so that you can do business with the federal government and get all of those formalities in place. If you are doing it for your local, your city, your county, etc., there is a similar process with your city government or your local government or your state government that you also need to go through. So you may, go to your Secretary of State and register your business as an entity. But there's one more step that you have to do if you want to do business with your state, city, local government, etc., so that you can it's a little bit different. They'll do an RFP, but then they contract with you and do procurement. And so in order to procure with your city, state, local government, you also need to do some registrations with them as well. It's all free. Don't pay anybody to do this. I always tell people that. But the information is out there. You can contact us if you want us to help walk you through that process.
And Shauna, that's a really good point to highlight as far as don't pay any unnecessary fees. Because once you do register your business, you will get all kind of mail saying, oh, you need to pay this registration or that registration. We got something in the mail for our business that was helping us to do like an annual registration. And it was like $100 or something, $125. And I looked at it, I'll be honest, I looked at it and was like, oh, maybe we do. And I put it to the side. And then my husband actually saw it sitting there. He was like, are you holding on to this? You need to throw that away. I said, I really didn't look at it. And then that's when he was like, no, that's a scam. And then I got more back to back to back. And needless to say, when you go on the state website and you do your annual registration, it's $50. It's not like you have to pay attention to these different cost factors that are out there.
As well as all of those things that you'll get in the mail. It will, if you just read the fine print, people, we don't read, just look at the bottom and it says it. We are not affiliated with the federal, state, local government, etc. People don't read it and then they get caught up. Unfortunately. Yeah,
I think every year I get we can file your 990 form for you. I get that in the mail like every year. But of course you file that when you do your taxes. So.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. So what do you guys want to, let the general public know about your organization or about nonprofits, or some common misconceptions that people have about, forming their nonprofits or anything like that you want to share?
Sean, I'll let you start.
Misconceptions, let's see. I think, just not understanding all of the formalities that they need to do from a registration perspective, or they do the nonprofit, but then they don't know how to move forward. So I think that's one. Really get help from someone who is proficient in nonprofit management, or someone who understands the legalities behind coming up with a nonprofit, because you can really get in a lot of trouble if you don't have all of the legal things in place. So I would say that's probably one misconception.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I would definitely say, to piggyback off that, doing your research. At the end of the day, if you honestly don't know, you've never gone through this process before, it's probably wise to kind of connect with someone who has, like us, who can kind of, as Shauna has mentioned several times, walk you through the steps. It's better to be safe than sorry. It was exciting. I think the one thing the pandemic did bring out was the entrepreneur spirit of people to want to go out and to establish their own thing. And I'd be very interested to see how people have maintained that same spirit, going into this year and then in, the next couple of years, to see if they still have maintained what they started. But yeah, so many nonprofits fail because they didn't lay the right foundation. And there was something that you mentioned earlier about taking so much on yourself. One thing that we've learned is that there are plenty of people out there who are looking to learn as well.
Right.
Students, like, they could be your best asset. They are looking to do internships for their different practicums or whatever they have to do. And, I'm a firm believer. If you want the best out of someone, especially students, I do believe you should give them a little something to motivate them. That's just me personally. But looking to those different schools, whatever your business may be, look to a business school. Look to a law school or a school of public health. They're eager. They want the experience. They want to know how to do it. Utilize them as part of your business strategy and how you're going to get the work done. So,
yeah, agreed.
I think a lot of people underestimate the amount of time and work it takes to really take your business to the next level. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of sacrifice. Especially most people are working a job and then trying to do their nonprofit on the side. And so, it's just so much that goes into that. I know that was definitely a challenge for me.
It's a lot, but one person that I follow, motivational speaker, Eric Thomas. Yeah, I love listening to Eric Thomas. If for your audience, if they've never heard of him, E.T. the hip hop preacher, I think he goes by. But
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, you'll have to look up Eric Thomas. But he talks about the grind. He talks about the people who are successful don't wake up at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning and go to bed at 10. They're up at 4, or they're up before everyone else is up, and they go to bed after, because it's about that hustle and grind. When you really want something, you're going to work hard for it. And one thing I learned through various processes that I've been through, it doesn't come super easy. And you tend to appreciate things when you can work for it. And so I encourage people, don't give up if it doesn't work the first time. Literally, the worst thing that can happen is someone can tell you no sometimes. Sometimes a few no's are okay, because it keeps you going and you learn from your mistakes. So just keep pushing. That's the key thing. And don't put I only have this much time to do it. Be strategic about setting time aside for your passion.
But I'll also say, I am that person that goes to wakes up at 6 a.m. and I go to bed at 9 p.m. and I still grind in that 8 to 10 hour day.
You are super organized.
She is.
I do. I'm not waking up at nobody's 5 a.m. and not going to bed at nobody's 11
p.m. Let me tell you, we're texting Shauna at 9:30, 10 o'clock. She is not responding back to us. Kia and I are up till 12:30, 1 o'clock.
Okay.
But it's not to say that it's not possible. But you make time. Shauna, for
I
what
do
you
make
want to
time.
do.
Yes.
You make time and you set it aside. So many people, and everyone's schedule is different. If you have a family, if you do have another job, yes, those things are important. You have to prioritize. But if it's important to you, you'll do it. I have a career coach, which is something that I do recommend get a career coach or a mentor or someone that you can, confide in. But one thing she told me was, if you want something, you have to dedicate hours to it. So if it's going to be an hour a day, there's 7 days in a week. Dedicate 7 hours to what you want to do. And once you kind of get that in your mindset, then you'll go a lot further with achieving what you want to do. With meetings, we're in meetings all day long. You put them on your calendar because they're important and you adhere to them. So why can't we do that with our own personal businesses? And you got to prioritize it.
Absolutely. Yep. That's true. I am one of those people where I now use a calendar.
You didn't use one before?
I would just kind of write a list and just say like, okay, this is what I want to do, and I would just go down the list and check it off. But I didn't have like a set time, like, okay, 8 a.m., this is what I'm going to be doing for 1 hour. And so I learned that when you are a little bit more organized in that manner, you are more likely to, get a lot more done.
So my life doesn't exist without a calendar. Like I even have my weekends organized, people's birthdays, parties, and if it's not on my calendar, it's most likely that I'm not showing up or it's not going to get done.
I've got a little bit more flexibility in that.
No, I have lunch blocked off on my calendar because you're not going to interrupt my lunch. I need to have my 30 minutes.
This is why
that's my quiet time.
Sleep. This is why she can go to sleep at 9:30 though and wake up at 6.
Yes.
This is why she can do that.
And when I wake up at 6, I have my alarm set. I have a little meditation I do when I get up. I have my workout blocked off. No, it's not going to get done. It's not on my calendar.
I'm hoping that you could just kind of rub
that in.
I need all that energy over
But
here.
you know what? There is being able to have that discipline is great. And sometimes things happen, like for instance, with the pandemic, who would have thought for those who are parents, they would become virtual homeschool teachers on top of working their job, on top of trying to do whatever else they're trying to do. It's a lot. You just have to figure out what that schedule looks like. So I think to that point, yes, having Shauna's method of from 9 to 12, the kids are going to be doing this. From 1 to 2, I'm going to be doing this. But being able to put that mechanism into place is important, and not everybody has that discipline. So Shauna, like,
listen, bath time is on my calendar. 7:30 to 8. You cutting into my bathroom? No, Bailey's actually not home this evening, so no. But no, I have, because I want to be able to focus on Bailey during her time, and then when her time is up, I have work on SWP stuff from 8 to 8:30. I might want to look for some grants. I might want to respond to emails. I might want to, if we're as a group doing something, put some time into it. So I want to make sure that I am not slacking on whatever my commitments are. And, and I'm not like, it's not like I'm like scheduled every minute of the day. I do have like 3 laptops. So I might be watching on one laptop, working on another laptop. I have 2 phones. Like I get my fun in now. So, but it just has to be scheduled or else it's not happening.
And there was something that you said, your mental health. So getting that spiritual time in, or your meditation time, whatever that may be. I highly suggest that, because you need to be grounded and working out. I think that's when I get to clear my head. I drop my kids off to school, and before I start my work day, I go work out. Just because, and I can tell the difference when I don't. My head is clear, and I can step into knowing what I need to tackle for the day. So that's definitely a nugget as well.
I also think it helps with, present time consciousness, just kind of being whatever is right in front of you. Because like when you wake up, a lot of us first thing you do is grab your phone, and then you want to scroll through Facebook, check your email. Stuff.
I did in the month of January, I signed up for a mindfulness meditation class for 4 weeks. And so that has really helped me with, being present. Because I too can fall into the scrolling, and I get on different social media, and then I get lost. And so being mindful of those things and really honing in on what takes up my time and what takes up my energy is something that I have been focused on. And then on the phone, you can just cut it off. I only consume 30 minutes of Instagram a day. So once my 30 minutes is up, I'm done. But I do have another phone, so I might cheat and use that phone. But
so
once my 30 minutes is done on my main phone, if I don't have my other phone, then it is what it is. So
oh man.
Yeah. I'm taking notes over here. Do you guys have any like closing remarks that you kind of want to leave a little nugget with the viewers right now?
Well, Shauna, so a few days ago, Shauna and I had a conversation on our Instagram page, I think, about just goal setting. And I think that's kind of relevant for this conversation as for those who are looking to start their nonprofit. If it was a goal that you had for the year and you haven't had a chance to really just implement it the way that you want, we're ending the first quarter. We're about to roll into April. Now's the time to start assessing what worked, what didn't work, why didn't it work, what are some things that you may need to add to your goal list, what are some things that you may need to take away, and then reprioritizing. What are the things that need to get done? What are your high priority things? What are things that are time sensitive? What's your low hanging fruit so you can actually get those easy wins and be excited about your successes? And then from there, implement. Like you can't go through all of that and then not pull the trigger. You have to implement and move forward with it. Delegation is key. If you're not the person who is the one that can move something forward, or if you're not knowledgeable about something, call on someone who may be a little bit more knowledgeable. Call us. We'll be happy to take your call or your email and walk you through some of these things. But I'm all about, at this point, reassessing where you are so you know how to move forward.
Yes. Someone asked, what are your fees? Are your fees available on your website, or do you kind of assess that after you have already had a consultation with the client?
Yeah, we assess it after we've had the consultation, Portia. So you can go to our website, swpstrategies.com, and send us a message. And we will schedule some time to have a conversation with you and then determine, what you're interested in, because it's hard to say right now because we don't know what you're interested in. If you're looking for, strategic planning, coaching, etc., we can send you our rate sheet after we've had a conversation with you.
Yes. And Mayor Christopher Jones, he's the mayor of Uniontown, Alabama. He said, how can you follow a calendar when you have so many unpredictable things come up?
Do you want to tackle it first, Shauna?
Yes, of course, you can schedule your day, right? And unpredictable things may happen, but I don't feel like I have a ton of unpredictable things that come up. I do think that from time to time, there are things that may cause me to divert from my schedule. And so at the end of the day, I always try to do a recap of what are all of the things that I had on my calendar or things that I set out to do that may not have been on my calendar. And I'll look at them, take a look to see what I didn't complete, see how I can move them over to the next day. Is there a way that I can fit them in or double up some things or move some things off of my calendar the next day? Not every single thing on my calendar is a priority at all times. Sometimes I may have read-in on my job outside of SWP. I'm a compliance director. So I'm doing a lot of reading and writing and trying to keep up with rules and new regulations every day. And so for me, I have reading built in. So I may drop off some reading off my calendar the next day to work on a project or something that I may have missed the day before. But after 5 p.m., between 6 and 7:30, 8 o'clock, that's my family time. And my phone is down and I'm not doing anything but my family. So
that's a good thing to stick to also, Shauna, just making sure that you do have that clear separation, because now with most people working from home, really difficult to have that separation between work, and then it just blends into family time and then right back to work. It's a lot. I know what it feels like to have something on your list or, on your calendar and you don't get to everything. This goes back to the point of I'm a task task maker. So I have all kind of to-do lists and what needs to happen for the day. But even though I may have a list of 15, 20 things, I do identify what are those top 3 that I absolutely have to get done today. By identifying what those top things, like if I don't get it done today, it's going to impact this project or it's going to impact this person. There are some things, everything's going to seem important, but there are only 1 or 2 things that are probably like, somebody might not get paid if I don't do this today.
Right.
Or
so I'm glad that you brought that up, Christine. So there's this whole concept of wildly important goals, the WIG, right? And so if you look at Franklin Covey and how he talks about the wildly important goals, you might think that everything is important, but when you really analyze it and lay out your list, as Christine mentioned, only 3 to 4 of those things are really wildly important, really make a difference or a dent in what goes back to the bigger picture of whether it's your organization or your strategic plan or who you work for. So we might think they're all important, but when you really analyze it, maybe 4 or 5 in a week are the wildly important goals.
And a quick question before we close. What are some apps that you guys use to keep you organized?
Oh, geez.
I just use good old Google, Google Calendar.
Yes.
I'm an Android person, so I don't, use a lot of different things. I really just use the Google Calendar. I do use Post-it notes. I have a lot of Post-it notes in my office on my desk.
I've got different size Post-it notes on my desk.
Right. Different colors for different things. And I do also have a paper planner that I write some things down as well, but I don't really use too many apps. I know for work, we do use Traction, and that Traction is really helpful because it has, you can put in goals and milestones and quarterly goals as well. And that helps to keep me on track at work. And I then started putting personal goals in Traction too, just to keep everything in one place. But Traction is one tool that folks can use if they have access to it. I believe there's an app as well.
I have to agree with Sean. I use Google because it's transferable across all my devices. So I can always pull it up. It's nice and easy. The calendar. One other thing, it's not an electronic something, but my whiteboard. I was sharing this with Shauna, my messy looking whiteboard. And it's so simple, but you can get a whiteboard for $1. And what I like about it is that I can write on it. And when I'm done, I can wipe it off. And it makes me just that small sense of I accomplished something by wiping it off and it's gone. For me, feels good. So
yeah. And then you can see it every day.
Exactly.
Sometimes people need something right in front of them that they can see every day. That's a constant reminder in the back of their minds, like, hey, I know I need to get this done.
Right.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on tonight. This was
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
So if you guys are looking for someone to help you with your strategic planning, it may be for your nonprofit or it just may be for your regular business. Who knows? Definitely check them out. Their website is www.swp.com. Not SWP, okay?
Sisters with priorities.
Priorities.
And also be sure to tune in every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for Random Health-ish. We stream live from Facebook and YouTube. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week and have an amazing night. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.